Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Crime drama from another short-run Mutual series done by Jock McGregor. This is entitled Did Justice Triumph, going back 75 years to June 16th, 1947. This episode entitled The Man Who Died Twice.
Justice triumphs. Police Headquarters, Albany, New York.
Name, James Martin Scott.
Age, 41 years.
Cause of death, knife wound through heart.
Classification, murder.
Investigation, proceeding.
The Mutual Broadcasting System presents another thrilling case from the files of True Justice Stories, followed by millions of readers each week in the New York Sunday News and its syndicate. Tonight's case, The Man Who Died Twice. As our reenactment of this real crime begins, a 1932 Buick sedan turns out of the little New England town of Castleport and heads out on the highway. The man at the wheel and his slight, weak-faced companion are silent as they drive 5 miles through the dark countryside. For this October night, William Hugan and his friend James Martin Scott are embarking upon the first step of a most important business, the business of committing the perfect crime. Scott, the frightened-faced little man, speaks.
William, I know you won't like what I'm going to say, but I don't think we should do this.
Oh, you don't?
No, William, I don't.
After the money we've spent for those insurance policies, after all the planning I've done, $150,000 worth of planning.
Yes, I know, William. You thought of everything, but the police...
The police? A dumb county sheriff and those drugstore cowboys he calls his deputies. You're afraid of them, I suppose.
Yes, William, I am. I'm afraid of the whole thing.
You're not backing out now, my friend. I've got too much at stake to be stopped by you or anybody else. For years, I've been a nobody in this town. A jack of all trades. Me with more education than the mayor. More brains than anybody else in this whole doggone town.
Nobody's denying that, William. Everybody knows that you're much smarter than I am, but... Well, the police and the insurance companies, they have ways
No way to figure this one out. Because I've tried to tell you 1,000 times it's perfect.
Oh, very well. Just as you say, William.
All right. Now, the county burial ground is a half a mile ahead. We'll stop here outside your workshop.
Oh, but somebody might see the car while we're over there digging in the graveyard.
We want them to see it, you fool. In case we're spotted in the graveyard, we'll have to run for it. If they see the car, it'll make it look as if we've been working on your invention in the shop all the time.
Oh, yes, I'd forgotten.
Forgotten? You'd forget your own head if it wasn't fastened on.
Now, William.
Come on, we'll get the lights on in the workshop and draw the blinds.
Yes, William.
Hurry it up, James. Get those shades pulled down, all the way.
I will. William, I just thought, if somebody should come here while we're at the graveyard...
Has anybody ever taken enough interest in your inventions to visit you?
No. No one ever has. In all the years I've been working here, no one has ever...
Then they're not going to tonight. Now, come on. We don't want to keep our dead friend waiting.
Beneath the pitch-black night sky, the two men reopened the newly dug grave of the late George Johnson, an unfortunate man who died in a poverty so bitter that his family could not afford a private burial plot. This is the next to last step in the perfect crime of William Hugan and James Martin Scott. And with the pauper's body in the back of the workshop, they proceed to the next and final step in their plan.
Mr. Hanson? Mr. Hanson, are you awake?
Who is it?
Mr. Hugan.
Oh, just a minute. Well, sort of late to be calling, isn't it?
I'm sorry if I bothered you and Mrs. Hanson. I saw your lights from James Scott's workshop. I thought you might have some coffee on the stove. I'm chilled through.
Happens we have. Come in.
Thank
Come
you.
in.
Who is it, dear?
Mr. Hugon wants some coffee. Says he's chilled through.
Oh. Well, I've been working with your friend over in the workshop, I suppose.
Yes, but I don't have James' powers of concentration, I guess.
Oh.
No heat over there, you know, and I felt chilly.
Huh. Silly business working on them fool inventions. Think you'd have more sense, Hugon.
Now, Carl.
Oh, he's right, Mrs. Hanson. I don't know how James stands it, working those gas and oil fumes night after night. But I really think he's on the track of something now. A new oil refining process.
Oh, he is, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, might take a little visit over there with you. Never seen his workshop.
By all means, Mr. Hanson.
And you can take the coffee with you and have it over there. It's not far to the workshop. It'll still be hot.
Oh, but I don't like to drag your husband away.
Nonsense. If Scott's finally hit on something, I'd like to see it.
But I'm not sure that
Any reason you don't want me to come?
Oh, no, of course not, Mr. Hanson. You don't know how much I want you to come.
Now, of course, this is just a working model, you understand, Mr. Hanson. Built to scale, naturally. But it should give you an idea of how the refining machine will operate.
Yeah, very
You see,
interesting, I'm sure. But now
But surely you want to see how the acceleration machine works. It's the basis of the whole refining process.
No, not tonight. Some other time, perhaps.
James is like a child about these things. You mustn't disappoint him, Mr. Hanson. It'll only take a minute.
Well, now, really, Mr. Hugon, I've got to go
Please, you will let me demonstrate it, Mr. Hanson, won't you?
back. Oh, all right.
Oh, good. This is it right here. Now, I switch on the power for this part of the machine, and... what?
Well, what's happened? All the lights have gone out.
Blew a fuse, I imagine.
Yes, and... Oh, I just used the last one I had. I wonder, Mr. Hanson, would you have a spare fuse at your house?
Yes, sure.
Oh, good. Then, William, could you go along with him and
Glad
bring
to,
it back?
John. Come along, Mr. Hanson. The door's over here. Watch your step, though.
Careful,
Confounded
Mr. Hanson.
chair.
Careful.
So dark in here without any lights.
Yes. While you're gone, William, I'll see if I can patch up this fuse.
Be careful, John. Don't take any chances with all this oil around.
Won't.
Here's the door, Mr. Hanson. Well, what do you think of John's invention?
Either your friend's an idiot or a genius. Myself, Mr. Hugon, I happen to be a dealer in junk, and I wouldn't know about such things. Chilly night. In for a cold winter.
Good Lord. James' workshop.
Great heavens, it's on fire. Hold that oil.
Come on. Hurry. James! James, where
Stand
are
back,
you?
will you?
But James,
Don't
he's
be a
in-
fool. You can't help it now. The shop's going up like a box of
Gotta
matches.
get him out there. James!
Poor
James!
devil, he couldn't possibly have escaped. Now, come along, man. Come along. You've got to phone the sheriff's office and the fire department.
James! James!
Come along. I've got a spot of brandy at the house. I think it'll do you good. Nothing more we can do here anyway.
June 16th, 1947. Did justice triumph or justice triumph? The show gets referred to by both names. Anyway, this episode, June 16th, 1947, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
You ever make a change and then think, why didn't I do this years ago? Well, that's how people feel about switching to Medishare for their health care, especially now with inflation the way it is. People are very happy with the savings. Most families save about $500 a month when they switch. It's a huge help when prices are going up so fast in so many other areas. And Medishare's customer satisfaction rate is double that of health insurance. It's just a different experience, and people really like that. Medishare is an alternative to health insurance. It's a community of Christians who share each other's healthcare bills, and it's been going strong for over 25 years. It really is the gold standard, the most trusted name in healthcare sharing. Find out why people love it, find out why they rave about the customer service, and find out how good it feels to save some money right now. They're super easy to talk to. Here's the number, 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE, 833-34-BIBLE.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more of Did Justice Triumph from 75 years ago, June 16th, 1947.
two men turn and walk slowly away from the burning shack. But if Hanson, the chance witness to the tragedy, could only see the face of his companion in the darkness, he'd notice that William Hugan is smiling triumphantly, as befits a man who's just been a leading partner in the perpetration of a perfect crime. Across the clearing on the other side of the burning workshop, a figure runs to the outskirts of the woods, then turns, looks back. For just that moment, an observer, if there were one, would see the face of the man believed to be trapped in the flames. The weak, frightened face of the inventor, James Martin Scott. A short time later.
All right, man. Get your hoses coiled up and get your gear back on the truck.
Well, Sheriff King, no danger is spreading now. The fire's out. Anything else we can do for you?
No, I guess not, Chief. Up to the coroner now.
Yeah, not much left of Scott, poor devil. Maybe he had something in that new invention of his, but we'll never know after this. Well, we'll be going now, Sheriff. Call me if there's anything I can do.
You betcha, Chief. So long.
So long. All right, man. You got everything ready here?
All right, boys. All right. Easy now. There, that's it. Now wrap the sheet around the body and put it in the ambulance.
Right.
They'll have to take it to the county morgue for an autopsy.
It's nasty business, Coroner.
Yes, Sheriff. I don't realize how perishable a human body is until you see, well, what these deputies dug out of the ashes.
Poor James.
Huh?
What a terrible way to die.
Oh, Mr. Hugan, I thought you'd gone.
I couldn't somehow. James was the best friend I had in this world, Sheriff.
I know. That sort of thing happens to all of us.
You've got my deepest condolences, son. Well, got a good night's work ahead. See you in the morning, Sheriff.
All right, good night, Coroner.
Mr. Hugan.
Good night, Coroner. I just can't seem to believe it, Sheriff. Poor James, gone.
Yes, it's been a bad blow for you, Hugan. But I'm kind of glad Mr. Hanson was with you when it happened.
Glad, Sheriff?
Yeah.
Why? What difference does that make?
It makes another witness in case the body can't be identified. Otherwise, it might be trouble.
Trouble?
Yes, especially if there's any insurance claim involved.
Insurance? Why, it never occurred to me that poor James might have insurance.
Well, there's no use of hanging around here any longer. We'll keep a guard here all night, see that the ruins aren't disturbed.
Well, good night, Sheriff.
Good night, Jurgen. Try not to take it so hard.
I'll try, Sheriff. Yes. I'll try very hard.
Sheriff King speaking.
This is Coroner, Sheriff.
Yes, Coroner, what's the report?
And I'm only a country doctor, Sheriff. Lord knows there's not much to go on. In the lack of any evidence to the contrary, well, I'd say the remains are those of James Martin Scott and hand down a verdict of death by accident.
Thanks, Coroner. I'll go along with your findings and mark the case closed.
The crime is done at last, perfect as careful planning could make it. A body dug up from Potter's Field to replace that of the missing inventors. A body charred and burned beyond human recognition. Or is it? 400 miles away in the great Acme Insurance Building in New York City, a man who works behind a frosted glass door in this building, a door simply marked investigation, is not satisfied with that.
Pierce speaking.
Pierce, this is Andrews over at the National Association of Insurance Underwriters.
Oh, hello, Andrews.
You said you wanted to know how many companies have policies written in the name of James Martin Scott of Castleport.
Yes, that's right. Did you find out?
Yes. The records show 3 double indemnity policies in the name of James Martin Scott, written by 3 different companies, each for $25,000.
Wow, that's a lot of insurance.
It sure is.
To whom are the policies made payable?
Executor of Estate, William Hugan.
Uh-huh. How long have they been in force?
One is a year old, the other 2 had been in force a little less than 4 months at time of death.
4 months, eh? One other thing. What was Scott's income?
Brother, there you got a question. He paid more than half of his yearly income in insurance premiums.
You know, Andrews, I can't help being interested in a guy like that.
Yeah. Don't blame you.
In fact, I think we'll be hearing more about Mr. Scott.
Oh?
Lots more. Dead or alive.
I have to get off here because I'm going over.
Pardon me. You're Sheriff King?
Yes. Are you Mr. Pierce?
Yes, I am. Thanks for meeting me, Sheriff.
Well, I got your wire and it sounded urgent. Thought I'd better meet you at the train. Now, what's it all about?
The Scott case.
The crazy inventor, you mean?
Well, maybe he's not as crazy as he is that he'd like us to think, Sheriff.
Oh. In the trail or something, huh?
Well, we're not sure.
Well, my office is at your disposal, Mr. Pierce. So's the car. What's your first stop?
The home of Mr. William Hugan.
This is Hugan's house, Pierce. Shared with James Scott.
Oh, I hope he's at home.
Yeah, let's find out.
Yes?
Yeah.
Oh, Sheriff King.
Yeah, this is Mr. Pierce of the Acme Insurance Company, Mr. Hugan. I'd like to talk to you.
You mean something's wrong?
Oh, purely routine investigation. Before we make payments on insurance policies, we always investigate deaths of this type.
Oh, yes, I see.
Now, the late Mr. Scott was an inventor, I understand.
Yes, he was an inventor, Mr. Pierce. He was working on a new oil refining process at the time of his death.
I see. Well, tell me about him. He lived on the royalties from previous inventions, I suppose.
Yes, royalties.
Uh-huh. Was he seen by anybody in his workshop, I mean, the evening of the accident?
I can answer that, Pierce. A fellow that lives on the outskirts of town is a local junk dealer. Was with Scott and Hugan here just a few seconds before the explosion.
Junk dealer, eh?
Yeah.
Interesting characters, most of them. They pick up things.
Yeah.
Well, sorry to have bothered you, Hugan.
Glad to be of any help I can.
Oh? This photograph here on the desk. Is this Scott?
Yes. Taken some time ago, of course.
Uh-huh. Had beautiful teeth, didn't he? Well, thanks again, Mr. Hugan.
Don't mention it.
Yeah, it seems to me, Pierce, that the questions you ask could sort of put Hugan on his guard.
That's what I intended, Sheriff. The insurance companies have a big stake in this case. We thought it'd be interesting to see what Hugan will do once we let him know that we suspect him.
Yeah. Well, there's one thing, Pierce. Hugan is no fool. Never turned his hand at much in this town. But I want to warn you, he's smart as they come.
Does he think so?
Afraid he does.
So much the better, Sheriff. Well, now I'd like to make a long-distance phone call and then have a nice chat with, what's his name, that local junk dealer?
Hanson.
Oh, yes, Hanson. Interesting characters, junk dealers.
That's the way it happened, Mr. Pierce. Couldn't have been more than a minute after we stepped out the door that the whole shack exploded and went up in flames.
I see. One more question, Mr. Hanson.
Glad to answer if I can.
Your business is buying and selling junk.
Yes, sir.
Now, there must have been a lot of metal and tin in the ruins of Scott's workshop.
Certainly was. I got a couple of loads of stuff out of there. Of course, I got the sheriff's permission to sift the ashes before I started. Yeah, that's right, Pierce. That was after we finished our investigation, too, of course.
Did you find anything interesting, Mr. Hanson?
Wasn't anything much of value, but... Jumping Jehoshaphat. Why didn't I think of that before?
What, Mr. Hanson?
Why, dogged if I didn't find a tin box of fuses in the ashes. All burned, of course, but you could see they were good before the fire started. Fuses? Now, why didn't you tell me this before, Hanson? Didn't think of it before. Now, why did Scott send us out for fuses when he had a whole box of them in his workshop?
Yes, that is an interesting question.
Yeah. It looks to me as if those two went out of their way to have a witness present just before the fire, Pierce.
Yes, Sheriff. Sheriff, can you write an order to have Scott's body exhumed?
Sure I can.
Good. Professor Barker, the pathologist at the State University, is on his way here now. Maybe he can tell us if the deceased was alive or dead at the time the fire started.
Oh, well, Professor, you got some news?
Gentlemen, I finished the examination.
Uh-huh.
I use your wash basin here, Sheriff?
Oh, sure. Help yourself, Professor. Here's a towel. You got a cake of soap around here someplace. Yeah, where's that? Ah, here it is.
Ah.
There you are.
Thank you. There. That's better.
Well, Professor, what did you find?
Well, as you know, the body was almost totally destroyed in the flames. But I was fortunate in finding a small piece of lung tissue. And now, if the deceased had been alive and breathing at the time the fire started, he'd naturally have inhaled smoke.
Naturally.
The smoke would have been deposited small carbon granules in the bronchial passages of the lung. In the body I've examined, there was no carbon deposit at all.
You mean he was dead before the fire started?
Exactly. However, in an explosion case of this kind, I shouldn't like to be subjected to cross-examination in court.
Why not?
Why not indeed? We'll hear the answer in just a few moments. June 16th, 1947, did justice triumph on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
No offense, but are you a little fat when you look in the mirror? How would you like to learn the secrets to lose 3 to 5 pounds a week easily without joining the gym or going through any crazy diets? It's called Body Sculpt by Med Diet. For the last 2 decades, we've been helping people just like you that have pounds they want to shed. We've helped millions of people lose thousands and thousands of pounds over the years. And now it's your turn. Learn the secrets of how to lose weight with one simple phone call. You'll see an amazing difference in a matter of days. Don't believe us? We'll offer you a money-back guarantee. If you're ready to start losing weight right now, call right now to learn more about your risk-free order to Body Sculpt.
Call for your risk-free offer. 800-738-5332. 800-738-5332. 800-738-5332. That's 800-738-5332.
Are you in bad pain? You know what I mean. Your knees hurt. Your shoulder hurts. Your elbow and back are constantly killing you. And I'm sure you've tried every pain pill or cream available at the drugstore. Am I right? Well, here's something you haven't tried. Pain Magic. Pain Magic is not available at any drugstore. The only place you can get it is by calling the special toll-free number I'm about to give you.
And to make things even better, call right now and find out about our buy one, get one free offer. We're so confident it'll work for you that we offer a free bottle with your purchase. No prescription required.
Call now to learn how you can get Pain Magic and get rid of your pain. Remember, your results may vary.
800-492-8164. 800-492-8164. 800-492-8164. That's 800-492-8164.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of Did Justice Triumph? June 16th, 1947, and the answer to the question, why not?
Well, it's perfectly possible the man was struck by a flying object created by the explosion and killed instantly, before he could inhale any smoke.
Just the same, it's beginning to check with some things I found out. Scott's dentist says Scott had all his teeth. The body found in the fire had 5 teeth missing.
Sheriff, you and I feel pretty sure by now that this body isn't Scott's. But a jury, Sheriff, are they going to think so?
I doubt it.
There's only one way to prove it. We've got to find the real Scott. Chief, Investigation Division, Acme Insurance Company, New York City. Reasonable doubt, body found in flames, is that of James Martin Scott. Suggest you withhold payment of policies for time being. Signed, Pierce.
To all chiefs of police, be on lookout for James Martin Scott, age 41, white, male. Scott is wanted for questioning in suspected fraud. Notify Sheriff King of Castleport. Full description follows.
To William Hugan, the refusal of the insurance companies to pay the $150,000 is an awkward, but for a smart criminal mind, not an insurmountable obstacle. To Hugan, it means simply that his collaborator, James Martin Scott, now in hiding, must be disposed of. Must really die, so that no investigation will ever find him. So, his plans made, William Hugan leaves Castleport, quietly, unobtrusively, but not unnoticed by Sheriff King.
Pierce speaking.
This is Sheriff King in Castleport.
Oh, yes, Sheriff.
William Hugan just left town on the express. Bought a ticket for Albany. I've got a deputy following him, and this might be it.
Good. Suppose I meet you at police headquarters in Albany as soon as I can get there.
Right, Pierce. The quicker we can clean this case up, the better.
Who is it?
Me, William.
Oh, just a minute. It's about time you came. I waited and waited. You've got my share of the money, haven't you, William? They paid the money, haven't they?
Yes. Now listen, I think I'm being followed. Followed? If they see you, it's all over. Well, I've rented a car. Meet me at 9 o'clock at the corner of Hudson Avenue and Pearl Street.
Yes, but William, if you're being followed...
I'll give him the shake temporarily.
But you do have the money, right?
Yes. I told you I'd take care of you. Now remember, be at the corner of Hudson and Pearl at 9 o'clock sharp.
Haven't we driven far enough, William? Can't we stop somewhere and talk now?
Yes. This looks like a good spot.
Well, it certainly is lonely enough out here. Now, William, if you'll just give me my share of the insurance money, I'll
Get out of the car, James.
Out of the car? But...
I said get out. This is the end of the road.
Oh, William, if this is a joke... What's that?
A knife, James.
Knife?
Yes. You see, there won't be any money as long as you're alive.
No, William. This isn't the way it was to be. Not the way at all.
You won't get out, then?
Police, this is the Dunlap car renting service. You fellas asked for a check of all cars rented tonight. Well, one of my cars was just returned. Big spot on the front seat. Yeah, and mud all over the floorboard and pedals. Better come down and take a look.
Police headquarters, this is Jim Brown out in the turnpike. I want to report a prowler on my land tonight, out in my east meadow. I saw his flashlight, but he was gone by the time I got there. I'll tell you this, though, he buried something out there. You better come out and see what 'tis.
Oh, Clerk, will you give me my bill, please? I'm checking out.
You going somewhere, Hugan?
Sheriff King, Mr. Pierce.
And this is Detective Grayson of the Albany Police, Hugan. He wants you to be his guest for an extended stay.
I can't imagine what you want me to...
Good, Hugan. You made too many mistakes, and your last one led us to Scott. We found his body. You know, Hugan, Scott was an amazing feller. The only man I ever knew of who died twice.
Under close questioning by Sheriff King, the Albany Police, and Pierce, the insurance investigator, William Hugan finally admitted his guilt. And in the trial that followed, the courts of justice decreed that he must die in the electric chair for the murder of James Martin Scott. Greed, forgetfulness, the small mistakes that are the age-old heritage of those who set themselves against justice, thus shattered another dream of the perfect crime. Now in Investigator Pierce's office in New York.
Miss Perkins.
Yes, sir?
Take the file on William Hugan and James Martin Scott and mark it case closed.
Justice triumphs. Although the names of all persons, characters, and places are entirely fictitious, and any similarity to persons living or dead is purely coincidental, this dramatization was based on an actual murder case. Next week at the same time, the Mutual Broadcasting System will present Justice and Sarah Curtis, a story of a man who tried to mix murder and forgery and succeeded in neither. another dramatization taken from the files of True Justice series, appearing each week in the New York Sunday News and its syndicates. These programs are produced and directed by Jock McGregor, and tonight's dramatization was by Gene Hurley. The narrator is George Carson Putnam. Pierce was played by Arnold Robertson, William Hugan by Don Douglas, and Sheriff King by Craig McDonnell. Others in the cast were Humphrey Davis as James Scott, Julian Noah as Hanson, Margaret Berlin as Mrs. Hanson, and Ian McAllister as the coroner and Professor Barker. The orchestra, under the direction of Emerson Buckley, played music especially written for this broadcast by Richard DuPage.
June 16, 1947 did Justice triumph on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
It's a big, bold story set in the heartland of America, along the edge of Lonely Mountain. I am open for business. And so Big William Gorgon, played by handsome Michael James, fiercely set down his Midwest roots.
Oh, darling, we're going to sell bathrobes and raise chickens.
Set his adoring wife, Wilhelmina, portrayed by beautiful Glenda Olsen.
Oh, I love our store, Will.
But they hadn't counted on Big Ralph's bathrobes and cattle store coming to town.
Oh, Will, what will we do, Will?
Will had a plan, a way of facing off against tough Big Ralph. We're going to change the face of America. We're going to advertise.
Adver what?
With print, broadcasting, and bus benches, we're going to tell people who we are and where we are.
What's a bus?
And so the story of how one man brought advertising to the heartland.
Oh, will it work?
It will. Well, my name ain't Will, Wilhelmina. You got to advertise or we'll die. And so the greatest marketing story of all time is here. Advertise or die, dopey.
Put your message on this national advertising platform. Email classicradiotheater@gmail.com. classicradiotheater@gmail.com. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, another episode of the soap opera Claudia. This originally broadcast June 16th, 1948.
And now, Claudia.
Hey, they're rolling up the gangplank. Watch.
Oh, David, isn't she the most beautiful ship?
Proud, majestic queen of the seas.
So big and so enormous. I don't see how she stays afloat.
Oh, it's easy as a matchstick.
Amazing the things they do today.
Now close your mouth and open your eyes, darling. See if you can see Hartley and Julia anyplace.
I don't see one face I know anywhere.
I hope we don't miss them.
I don't see how we can. They have to come down the gangplank, don't they?
Well, not if there's a more distinguished and aristocratic way of doing it. Julia would prefer it.
Now, that's a fine way to talk about your only brother's wife. A stranger would think you didn't like Julia.
Now, you don't happen to be a stranger.
Well, if I were, I certainly get the wrong idea. I don't know why you don't like to admit you like Julia.
Oh, I admit it. Julia's got an excellent head on her shoulders. She knows more about stock markets than any broker on Wall Street.
Well, that's not saying so much, I don't think.
But she's smart, and fundamentally, she's got a very good heart.
She's much nicer than you make her sound. I like Julia.
Well, good. I just happen to prefer my women dumb, stubborn, and cute. I can't help it.
Oh, thank you so much, sir.
Well, you are cute, you know it. Your hat falling down over one eye.
Well, you can skip the compliments. Lend me your handkerchief.
Haven't you ever got one?
It is not large enough.
For what?
For waving.
Oh.
Anything else you'd like to know for the mere loan of a mere handkerchief?
Yes, who are you going to wave at?
Who do you think? Who'd I come all the way down from Connecticut to meet at this boat?
But you just said you couldn't see Hartley and Julia.
I'm going to wave a handkerchief on general principles.
General who?
What if they can see me and I'm not waving? They'll be very offended.
Here you are, darling. Now here, wave till your heart's content, but don't tire yourself.
Oh, this is so exciting. I'm so glad we came. Oh, that's the most beautiful, romantic sound. Someday we'll have to travel there.
Where is there?
To all the places that sound makes me think of course.
Oh, of course. Well, the gangplank's in place. They ought to be coming down at any time now.
Much as you pretend. You're excited, too, you are, admit it.
Who's pretending?
I didn't realize I'd missed Julia and Hartley till this minute.
Well, then you won't miss them for long.
David, I don't know why, but now I feel like crying. Look at all the people coming home. Look at their faces. No, I'm not so sure. After all, I would like to go away.
Well, you can't come home if you haven't left it.
Oh, that's where you're wrong. I come home every evening when I see you again, darling.
All right. Hold on to my hand tight. I don't want to lose you in this crowd.
You won't lose me ever. Did you see him, David?
No. No, not yet.
Other people are seeing other people they know. You think Julia will be surprised to see us?
I think so, and please, too. But we won't hang around. Julia isn't going to have much time to spend with us once she's off the boat.
Why not?
Oh, she'll have to check her baggage through the customs inspector.
What for?
So he can see what foreign goods she's bought and is bringing into the country.
Oh, what difference does that make to him?
Oh, a lot of difference. There's a duty to pay on everything you bring into the country over $100.
Honestly, the government sticks its nose into everything these days, doesn't it?
That's what it's for.
It's a lot of nonsense as far as I can see. Who'd want to bring in a lot of stuff? Not me. I hate packing.
You hate spending money, too, so we'd be safe.
You know, the trouble with most laws is you can tell they've been made by men. Men don't do the packing, so they suspect all sorts of things. I'll bet you Julia hasn't got a thing to declare to the customs inspector.
All right, I'll bet you on that.
If it were me, I'd try and get away with everything.
You wouldn't dare.
Oh, yes, I would.
Now, just don't you ever try it, you hear?
David, there they are now.
Where?
Look, see, right there on the deck. See on the right there,
yeah.
just getting on the gangplank.
Yeah, I see them. I don't think they see us.
Oh! Hardly looks as if he's gained some weight. Or is it his sunburn?
Both, I think.
David, shout. Maybe they'll hear us.
I will not shout.
Then I'll shout.
You will not.
This is the sort of place where it's perfectly permissible to raise one's voice. Yoo-hoo, Julia! Hartley!
I'm embarrassed to be seen with you.
Come on, Stuffy. Shout a little bit. Do you good. Julia, hello!
Claudia, what a surprise!
You look wonderful! See, even Julia's shouting.
How nice of you to come down.
Oh, that's Hartley!
Here, hang on to my coat, darling. I'll push through this mob.
Aren't you glad we came down to the boat?
Excuse me. Yeah, I always intended to.
Wouldn't be half as much fun without me, would it, David?
Oh, sorry, not half.
Claudia, how good to see you.
Oh, you look wonderful, so well, so rested.
I'm exhausted. It's been so hectic.
Hello, Julia.
And David. You were angels to come all the way down here just to meet us.
We got your cable this morning and we just couldn't resist. You've been gone so long.
Months.
Where's Hartley? He's disappeared.
Oh, he's gone with the porter to set up the luggage.
Oh.
Those dreadful customs inspectors are going to start rummaging through my things.
Well, I wouldn't let them if I were me. I mean, if you were me. I mean, if you...
Why don't you go around again?
Can't help, sweet. It's one of the necessary evils of coming home.
Well, I think you're being very nice about it. Personally, I hate people going through my things. Especially a strange man.
I think Claudia is a born smuggler.
And Hartley thinks I am. You men just don't understand us. Oh, David, you look fine, too.
Oh, there's Hartley now. Hartley, hello!
Claudia!
Hartley!
David! Why, you're even nicer to see than the Statue of Liberty.
Hello, Hartley. We certainly missed you. Have a good trip.
You're looking fine. Fine, both of you. Being farmers agrees with you.
You look as if your gallbladder hadn't bothered you at all.
Let's not discuss that.
Now, you stay right here on the pier with us. We'll not be very long, and then we'll all go back to the house and have a long talk.
Here, Claudia, sit down. You can sit down on my trunk.
Oh, I'm fine standing, Julia.
Yes, but you'll get tired,
Don't
dear.
bother telling her anything. It's a lost cause.
Let her alone, both of you. Claudia looks as if she knows how to take perfect care of herself.
Oh, Hartley, I've really missed you. You know, you're the only man I know who acts as if women had brains.
That's because Hartley is married to Julia. He shouldn't draw conclusions. Ouch, my ankle.
Oh, did I kick you, darling?
Have you flagged the customs inspector, Hartley?
Yes, it'll be long, my dear. And I do wish you to mend your declaration.
I've declared plenty.
What's a declaration?
I told you, it's a form you fill out telling what you're bringing back that you bought abroad.
Oh. Well, if you do that, why do you have to look through your bags, too?
Because some women don't declare everything. They think it's daring and clever to try and get away with a few things, no matter how little it amounts to.
Oh, I'm sure I'd try and get away with everything.
Over my dead body.
David, don't talk like that. Well, Hartley, what if they did find something in your trunk that you haven't declared?
You pay a tax on it, that's all.
Oh, taxes. That's all people seem to be able to do with their money these days. I can't see that a few dollars more tax should make any difference to our government.
What's the use, Hartley? They won't understand.
I think they understand, but they won't admit it.
Admit what?
I don't know one woman who is gracefully submissive in the face of laws and regulation. They just won't admit to a higher force.
I feel the same way about parking tickets, don't you, Julia?
Exactly.
I give up.
When you've been married as long as I have, David, you'll learn that there's just a few things that make a woman feel superior. One of them is being illegal.
Such wisdom. Oh, look, Hartley, there's old Mrs. Espenshide waving to me. I think I'd better go over and say goodbye.
The pleasure is all yours, my dear.
I'll only be a moment. If the customs inspector comes, call me.
Say, what time is it, Hartley?
Just 1 o'clock.
I'd better call my office and tell them I won't be back until after lunch. Claudia,
Yeah?
you stay where you are. We'll be right back.
I won't move. I'll guard these trunks with my life. Sailing,
Bounty Queen Norton?
sailing.
You, Mrs. Norton?
Yes, I'm Mrs. Norton.
And the Customs Inspector, 43.
Oh, well, how do you do?
How do you do? All these trunks and valises, it says here 8 pieces.
Oh, yes, all these here.
Uh-huh. Declaration here is very full. Trunks open?
Well, yes, they are, I think.
Fine. Now, we'll start on this one here.
You mean you rumple through them?
Sure do, ma'am. How else am I going to know what's in them?
Going through other people's things. Aren't you ashamed?
Look, ma'am, this is my job. The government pays me to rumple through.
Well, at least you can be more careful. Honestly, don't you take anybody's word for anything?
No, ma'am.
Oh,
Particularly the ladies.
you and my husband.
You know, with the ladies, it's a game. They try to put it over on me. Makes them feel good. So instead of asking, I just rummage.
If you ask me, I'd tell you the truth.
Oh, yeah, sure you would, yeah.
That's the trouble with you. You think everybody is dishonest.
Not dishonest, just sporting. Now, if I were to ask you, is there anything in these here trunks that ain't on this declaration, what would you say?
I'd say yes. Loads of things.
Huh?
Oh, perfumes and dresses and heaven knows what.
What?
Well, after all, what does one go to Paris for but to buy things?
Well, now, look, you don't have to tell me that.
Go on, look through these trunks. But I can save you an awful lot of time. In the shoe bag, for instance, that's a wonderful place to hide perfumes.
Now, look, madam,
And
look.
you can pack one dress inside another without any trouble at all.
Look here. Whose leg do you think you're pulling?
Nobody.
Oh, no. Look, ma'am. Nobody in the history of this service here has ever seen anybody come out and confess things like that. I don't believe a word you're saying.
Oh, you poor man. You've been disillusioned.
The fact you're telling me all these things, I know you ain't hiding nothing. And look here. To show you I'm a man of faith, I'll stamp your declaration and check you through.
Oh, that's sweet of you.
You see, before my wife had a baby, for a while she couldn't tell a lie either.
She couldn't?
Nah. Here you are.
Well, thank you.
You're all checked through satisfactorily.
Well, I knew the government wasn't as nosy as some people say it is. And I'm awfully glad to see that somebody respects another person's word.
Well, goodbye, ma'am. It sure is a pleasure doing business with you. I'll send around a porter.
Goodbye. And thank you so much. Sailing, sailing over the bounding main.
Everything all right,
la, la, la,
Claudia?
la, 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 la. Everything's fine, David. Trunks have all been inspected. Everything.
So quickly?
And he didn't look at a thing. I tried to tease him by saying these trunks were full of smuggled things, but he didn't believe me. He said I had an honest face, and that's all. You see, it's very simple.
What did you say these trunks were full of?
Oh, perfume and shoe bags, dresses inside of dresses. I made it up as I went along.
Brilliant. You belong in jail.
David, what is the matter with you?
Making it up as you went along. You know perfectly well that that's where Julia put those 3 bottles of perfume.
What?
Certainly. That's what Hartley just told me.
Then I've cheated the government. I've committed a crime.
I don't know why you sound so surprised. You behave perfectly according to your sex, that's all.
That's the trouble with being a woman. Even when she smuggles, not on purpose, it's held against me.
Not on purpose?
Oh, David, I wish we never come down to the boat to meet Julia and
Now,
Hartley.
Julia'd be delighted it turned out
But
this
don't you understand? Now I'll never be able to believe myself again. Because for once, I thought I was honest.
Da 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 da. Diddly diddly do 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 do.
Now, I ask you, can a woman make folks feel comfortable if she's all tired out from fussing over elaborate refreshments? When people come over of an afternoon or evening to visit, to play bridge, or listen to phonograph records, all you really have to do is to bring out ice-cold Coca-Cola. You'll find that everybody enjoys the pause that refreshes. And what's even more important, you enjoy it too. Now, what could be simpler? Bottle and opener are all you need. Then you can visit refreshed.
Oh, Mr. King, I understand that my bags have been checked through and that they're perfectly all right.
Yes, Claudia had the customs inspector so befuddled he hardly looked through them.
From now on, I'll trust Claudia with all my peccadillos.
But only trust her when she doesn't know she's being trusted.
I hope she's not going to worry about it. The whole difference is only about $1.
Well, I don't think she'll worry about it for long.
You know how it is, Mr. King. Sometimes getting away with something, no matter how little it is, well, makes you feel a little... Well, you know.
Yes, I know. My wife is exactly the same, Mrs. Naughton, so I understand.
Good. By the way, Mr. King, I have a surprise for Claudia.
A surprise?
Now that I've told you that much, I won't tell you any more. You'll have to wait to find out what it is tomorrow.
I won't sleep a wink tonight, Mrs. Naughton, but I'll be here tomorrow to find out what it is.
We'll probably be here, too, on many of these stations. June 16th, 1948, Claudia on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thanks for making us part of your day. Would you do me a favor? Thank this station. Support their advertisers. It's their kindness and courtesy that allows us to be with you each and every time we roll around here on your favorite radio station. And also, if you miss a day, you don't have to miss a show. You can hear our shows through iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, TuneIn, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Amazon. Just search for Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, or just go to my webpage, classicradio.com. Stream. Have a great day. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.